Yeah, I wanted to recommend a book that I'm reading at the moment, and it's just blowing my mind, and I've got to share it. It's a book called Time and the Technosphere: The Law of Time in Human Affairs, and it was written by José Argüelles, and he wrote a book called The Mayan Factor back in the 80s, the early 80s, and he passed away in 2011, and before he passed he was studying the Mayan civilization for over 40 years. He organized the 1987 global harmonic convergence, first of its kind, where he got simultaneously, as many people as he could around the world to meditate and stuff like that at spiritual sites, historical sites. So anyway, you can look that up, the harmonic convergence of 1987. And this book was inspired, he got inspired to write it just after 9/11, September 1st, September 11th, 2001, right? And it was a monumental event. Okay, it was a global event, right? It was the first time that billions of people were focusing their attention on the collapse of the World Trade Center. So it had a very, very detrimental psychological effect on a very large amount of people. So he was inspired to write this book about time and our perception of time. Civilization's perception of time is mechanized, it's kind of industrialized, it's a two-dimensional object, like the clock. It's like a circle divided up into 60 minutes, that kind of thing. And this artificial way of looking at time, time is money, right? I hear people say that all the time. Time is money, right? So our perception of time, society's perception of time, is incorrect. When it's supposed to be natural, we're supposed to be living naturally according to the biosphere, the natural cycles of the biosphere. We're supposed to be living in accordance with natural law, right? We're supposed to be taking care of nature, right? We're supposed to be using nature, right, in order to, create a peaceful world, right? There's, not supposed to be war, right? Even though war's been going on for thousands of years. But that's the point of this book, Time and the Technosphere: The Law of Time in Human Affairs. When was time, our perception of time, created? When did it begin? 12 months, dividing up the day, 60 to 60 minutes, 24 hours. This perception of time that we're all living in, right, came from the Babylonians, right? Came from the Babylonian high priests who thousands of years ago, 5,000 years ago, created time, through the lunar calendars, and they divided the year up into 12 months, right? These high priests changed the way time was perceived, because before that period you had prehistory, right? And prehistory isn't really known, although more and more often new sites around the world are being discovered that are dated, like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. They're dated to way before Babylon and Sumeria. So our perception of time, according to this book, was invented in Babylon by high priests who consciously chose to change our perception of time. So that was when the first calendars, that had 12 months, and each month was divided up into 30 or 31 days. All that was started really right at the very beginning, right? And then obviously you had all the you had the Gregorian calendar, the Julian calendar, which came along because of the Roman Empire. You know, Pope Gregory, I can't remember exactly who it was, Pope Gregory, that created the Gregorian calendar, and it all became a part of the human macro organizing principle of perceiving time, right? But natural time, okay, natural time, right, the law of time, right, it's completely different, right? And this writer, José Argüelles, discovered, right, that we should be, according to the Mayan long counts and the Mayan calendars, the lunar calendars compared to the solar calendars, the measure of, you know, the earth going around the sun, and all that kind of stuff, right? That was all the basis of it, right? But this book discovered, right, that if you got, right, 13 months, right, instead of 12, you have 13 months, right? So 1 year would be 13 months. Each month would have exactly 28 days, right? So it would be like 13 moons, right? 28-day cycle, right? Which is the female menstruation cycle, right? So it's natural, it's a natural process. So you create one more month by grabbing each month of the year, right? So let's say, you know, a month has 31 days, okay? So you take 3 days off that month, right? So that January will be 28 days, and then February 28 days, March, how many days does March have? 31. So again, you take off those 3 days. If, you know, whatever month has 30, you take off 2 days. So at the end, right, you have 28 days. So that 28 days would make a 13 month calendar, and each day would be 28, which just basically expresses a harmonic, you know, perfectly harmonic calendar, right? Every single month is 28 days, no confusions there. So it goes on to deeper levels of how since the Industrial Revolution, humanity has become a force of its own, right, upon the planet. Instead of working symbiotically with the planet, we've become a force against it, right? Because industry is against nature, right? Capitalism, you know, I'm not a capitalist or communist or socialist. You know, I just believe that we need a resource-based system. You know, automation. You know, it's a deeper level, right, where the environment comes first, not profits, right? So you're obligated to create a financial system and a system that basically works together with nature. So Nikola Tesla's you know, discoveries, right? The scientist Nikola Tesla, right? Croatian. If you're not sure who he is, he invented the alternate currency, AC, DC, you know, currents, you know, the electricity. He was the first one to do it, right? Nikola Tesla, great scientist, one of the greatest of all time, right? But he died in poverty because he was dangerous to the system, because he found a way to harness electricity from the air, static electricity. He built these towers that harnessed the energy and provided electricity wirelessly and for free. So, you know, he was shut down and he died in poverty. So, you know, he was a very controversial scientist because he wanted to help the human species. So, you know, anything that doesn't make a profit, right, is dangerous, okay? So we need a complete transformation, right, of the macro organizing principle of the human mind, which is our perception of time. It's completely incorrect. So because we have gone against natural time, right? Because we live according to an unnatural timing frequency, right? Because it's 12 months instead of 13, then our society is inevitably going to collapse, because entropy, yeah, just causes things to deteriorate and eventually collapse. So the only way that we can save the environment, the biosphere, from collapse, and also stop poverty and disease and everything like that, everything that we're experiencing now, you know, the system's collapsing. It is collapsing. Things are not going to go back to normal. So this book, Time and the Technosphere, The Law of Time in Human Affairs, is thoroughly recommended because it gives you a completely different perspective on time. It is absolutely incredibly detailed. The Mayan civilization and other civilizations before the clock came about, yeah, before that calendar started being hung on the wall, yeah, when tribes, you know, civilizations, whatever, societies were actually living in total instinctual, symbiotic harmony, you know, with nature. You know, and they knew that it was 13 months, 28 days because of the female menstruation cycle. They could see their females were having their periods, you know, at exactly the same time. Yeah. So it's nature. Okay, 13 months, 28 days in each month. Right. That when you look at mainstream media, it's unheard of. It's absolutely unheard of. Change the calendar? Are you bloody kidding me? The Pope is going to agree to change the calendar, you know, changing Christmas and everything, right? You know, that's probably what you're thinking, right? But I tell you, according to this book, it's the only way. It's the only way we're ever going to be able to build paradise on earth, a system that works symbiotically, perfect harmony with nature. Nature provides all the energy we could ever possibly imagine, and you don't have to rip up the earth for it. You don't have to destroy rainforests and chop down trees, and all you need to do is find a way to harness the static electricity in the air, to harness the moisture in the air, to harness the sun's light, the sun's energy. You don't need coal or power plants or nuclear energy. Everything they tell you about energy is fake. It's fake. I'm telling you, it is fake. They have technology that is suppressed. They hide it in their vaults. They have the patents. Patents. Potato. So this book, Time in the Technosphere, The Law of Time in Human Affairs, goes into very intense and very, very detailed analysis of time and how time is of the fourth dimension. Right? Time, the law of time, is instantaneous synchronicity, right? The synchronic order, right? When the human mind, human consciousness is awake and in complete harmony with nature, then synchronicity it becomes natural. Synchronicity, right? Everything is of the synchronic order. There is no such thing as coincidence. There's no such thing as just accident, right? Everything is synchronicity, right? And that's what this book talks about, right? It talks about how human consciousness has to wake up, right? Has to wake up from the industrialized, mechanized, profit-driven system run by lobbyists and billionaires, no matter what your political affiliation is. We are living in an apocalyptic event. The system human activity is grinding to a halt. Unheard of. Hundreds of millions of people are in their homes wondering what to do with their lives, questioning themselves. Why am I here? What is my purpose? Etc. And this is causing a shift in human consciousness. Look up 100 monkey experiment. Human consciousness is waking up, right? It's being forced to. People aren't going to wake up on their own if everything's going well and everything's hunky-dory. Things have to go really, really bad for people to wake up, to be kind of, you know, traumatized out of their little comfort zones, right? You know, I lost my job 2 years ago, and you know, I got a job in a school, didn't work out, and been out of work since. So I'm going through my things, wondering to myself in my mind, you know, how am I going to find a job now? And here in Spain, one of the worst hit countries on the planet, you know. So you know, you have to ask the question, you know, why am I scared? You know, why? You know, what am I scared of, really? You know, and then obviously meditation, you know, is playing a big part, you know, in helping me deal with this transformative event. So reading this book, Time in the Technosphere, The Law of Time in Human Affairs by José Argüelles, author of The Mayan Factor, it is worth reading because it gives you a totally new perspective on time. Time is of the fourth dimension. Time is of the synchronic order, pure instantaneous synchronization. And the only way that humanity is going to change its consciousness, the only way that humanity is going to change the way it thinks, is by changing our perception of time, right? We say time is money. Look what's happening now. Look what's happening now. It's like the industrialized system has ground to a halt. Time is money no longer is relevant, right? Now is how can I positively, proactively, productively spend my time in my home? What can I do? What can I do? I personally, I started a website, a scuba diving website, because you know I'm a scuba diving instructor, qualified, and I like scuba diving. But obviously I don't get to scuba dive, so I thought I'd start a website, scubahow.com, if you want to give it a little blast. And yeah, it's been tough, to be honest with you. Writing 3,000 word articles on scuba diving is tough, you know, on equipment or whatever. It's tough. Right, so you know, I'm going through my thing there. I've started this YouTube channel. You know, I've got no views. But you know, it's okay if I persist. If I persist, who knows? So it's almost like I'm talking to myself right now, but it's okay because I find it quite therapeutic in these very challenging pandemic times. So, Time and the Technosphere: The Law of Time in Human Affairs by José Argüelles, PhD. Thoroughly recommend it. It gives you a completely different perception of time, a different explanation on time and what it means. You know, time is not 12 months and 31 days in each month. Time is 13 months, 28 days in every single month. Pure, perfect harmony with nature. So we need to change our perception of time. And we're not going to do it, you know, by petitioning the Vatican or the United Nations or, you know, the World Health Organization. It's just not going to happen. Nobody's going to change the calendar. So Mother Nature is going to force us through, you know, different experiences like a pandemic. Mother Nature is forcing us to lock down and to self-isolate and ask the question, the very important question: why are we here? Why are you here on planet Earth right now? What is your purpose? Why are you now locked down? Why are you now working from home? Why are you now unemployed? Why are you now losing your business? Why are you now earning less? Why are you now? What is happening? What is my life all about? Is it about just going to work, coming home, paying the bills and dying? Or is there something deeper going on? And Mother Nature, through natural time, by winding down human activity in a natural way through a virus, whether you believe it's man-made in a lab or whether you believe it came from the wet market, it's up to you what you want to believe. I for one believe that whatever the mainstream media focuses on is usually not the answer, so that's the way I see it. But time is of the essence. Time is running out for the human race. Time is running out. Mother Nature is taking over. Mother Nature is regenerating, rejuvenating, rehabilitating. Now the thing is if this virus fizzles out soon and everything goes back to normal, it's not gonna, we're going to go back to polluting everything again. We're going to just go back to polluting everything. We're going to go back to filling up the tourist sites, and just throwing our rubbish on the floor and graffitiing these amazing historical sites, stuff like that. People will just go back to doing the same old. But time is not going to allow that to happen, because our civilization can only go so far. Because it's industrialized, it's artificial, it goes against nature, it goes against natural time. The calendar, the Gregorian calendar, is incorrect. It's a wrong timing standard. It's completely wrong. 12 months, and each month has different days. 31 here, 30 there, 28 there. And we have to change the calendar to 13 months so that each month has 28 perfect harmonic days, equal the female menstruation cycle. So our calendar would equalize and harmonize with the female menstruation cycle, which means that instead of a patriarchal society, maybe we could create more of a matriarchal, more of a female-based society. Yeah? The female instinct, the female energy coming more in with the 13 moon, 28 day calendar. So I recommend the book. It's fantastic. Time in the Technosphere, The Law of Time in Human Affairs by José Argüelles. And it will open up your mind to a whole new way of thinking regarding time. Okay, our perception of time is wrong. You want to open your mind up, take the red pill and read Time in the Technosphere, The Law of Time in Human Affairs. Peace and love out to you all.